In this video, we're going to go over how to work with data that we've imported from a JSON file. And we're going to be especially focusing on how to use loops to loop through lists. So here we have a JSON file. So it starts with this square bracket indicating that when we import it into Python, it is going to be a list. Each item in our list is going to be a dictionary because we have these curly brackets and our key value pairs. So we can see our first dictionary right here. It has 3 keys: word, part of speech, and definition. And then our next dictionary right here. Again, it has the same keys but different values. And we have all these different items. Each dictionary is an element in our list until we get down to the bottom and our list ends. So we're going to import this into a Python file. So here we have the import statement so that we can use our JSON library. We're loading in our data and storing it in Word data. So Word data is our list of dictionaries. And then we can print Word data just to make sure that it loaded in properly. And when we do that, we can see that it prints right here. So here's our start of our list with that square bracket and then all of our dictionaries and then the end of it. So it doesn't print it nicely, but we can see that it did load in our data properly. And then here we are just accessing a single value. So we're getting the first element in Word data. So if we look back at our JSON file, our first element is this dictionary right here. And once we have this dictionary, we can use our square brackets to access any of these values. So we could look up the word, part of speech, or definition for this dictionary. And so we're getting the word. So word data 0 word says go to the first element, look at the keyword, and give us that value. So this should be printing happy. So this line right here should print happy. And when we check, it does. It prints happy right here. All right, so now we're going to start looking at lists with word data and loops. So for data in Word data, this is how we set up our loop. We can put any variable that we want here. I just picked data as the name of the variable. And when we go through this loop, each time it iterates, data is going to become one of the dictionaries from our list. So the first time that loop iterates, data is going to be this entire dictionary. And then the next time that loop repeats or iterates, data is going to be this entire dictionary. The next time, data is going to be this entire dictionary. And it will continue like that until it reaches the end. So each time it iterates, it's going to print data, meaning it's going to print the entire dictionary. And then we're going to print a blank line just to space things out, and then we'll repeat. So when we look at our terminal, we can see here is our first dictionary. So this is printing the first time this loop repeats. Here's our second dictionary. So this is from our second repeat of the loop. And it just keeps going, printing each dictionary one at a time. So this is letting us see that when we set up the loop like this, data is taking on the value of each element in our list called word data. And each of those elements in word data is a dictionary. So now we're going to see a slightly more complex loop. So we're setting it up the same way for data in word data. So data again is going to be each of those dictionaries. But this time we have an if statement where we're using data. So since data is a dictionary, and we know that each of the dictionaries in word data has a key called part of speech, we can do this. So we're saying if data part of speech equals verb. So that equals checks to see if the two values, the one on the left and the right, are equal. And if so, it's going to print out data word. So we're now using 2 keys from our data dictionary. So no matter which iteration of the loop we're on, we know that the dictionary that data is going to be has the word key and the part of speech key. So the first time through this loop, we are checking if data part of speech equals verb. So the first time through, part of speech, it's going to look at this and go, okay, this is an adjective, so we're going to skip the body of the if statement and just go back to our repeat. So it doesn't run this line right here. It just goes back to our for loop and assigns data to be our next dictionary in our list. So now data is this one. It's going to check the part of speech. Again, it's an adjective, so it's going to skip over this line where we print, and it's going to go back and repeat. The next time through, it's going to be this dictionary. It checks noun does not equal verb, so it again skips the print and repeats. Data is going to become this dictionary. And now the part of speech is verb. So this if statement is finally going to be true. And we're going to print data word. So that means it's going to look up the value for the key word, which is innervate. So it's going to print innervate as the first one. It's going to keep repeating this process through all of these different dictionaries. So it's only going to print the words for the verbs. So it's going to print innervate, condone, and postulate. And we can see those three words printed right here. And we're going to check out one more example. So this time we're going to be using a variable called num nouns to keep track of how many nouns are in our list of dictionaries. So we're going to start that at 0, and as we loop through and check each element in our list, we are going to increase this variable if we are coming across a dictionary for a noun. So we've set up our loop the exact same way. Data is going to be one of those dictionaries each time we iterate through this loop. And this time we're again checking the part of speech, but this time we're checking to see if it's a noun. So we're only going to run the body of the if statement for dictionaries for words that are nouns. And we'll just increase num nouns by 1. So this is going to run through our list. Here's our first dictionary. So the first time through our loop, this is what data is. It checks the part of speech. It's not a noun. So it skips the body of our if statement right here. And it just goes back and repeats, assigning data to be our next element in our list right here. Again, it's an adjective, not a noun. So then we repeat, and this time data is this dictionary. And now when we check the part of speech, it is a noun. So that means this if statement is true. And we're going to add 1 to our num nouns variable. And then we repeat, so data is going to be our next dictionary. And it keeps going like this, and we can see if we count up how many nouns. We've got 1, 2, and that's it. So this should print out 2 because it's going to run this line right here 2 times. And we can see it does print out 2. So the key to this, no matter what kind of loop we are writing, we always set it up the same way to loop through a list for variable in name of our list. And then we just have to remember that this variable might be a dictionary if we're working with JSON data. If we are working with just a list that we wrote, we have to look at it and see what kind of value is it. Is it going to be a number, text, or so on? But this is going to take on the value of each element in the list one at a time until it gets to the end of the list.